Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. Today's the update for my Pan Those Eyeshadows project. Everything you need to know is linked down below. I have the creator link down below. I have rules linked down below, I think. I'm pretty sure. But just to go over it, I am using Makeup with Laney's spreadsheet. She made a prompt list for Pan Those Eyeshadows. So I randomize my prompts and then I pick my eyeshadows. Every time I hit pan in a shadow, the prompt is removed from my list, and I'm gonna continue this project until I have no more prompts left in my list. If I don't hit pan on an eyeshadow, I can roll it out after 2 months of having it in the project, but the prompt will stay into my list, so I can roll that prompt again. That's the short summary. I mean, there's nothing more to it, honestly. So let's check out my shadows. I'm going to start with the shadow that has been in the longest and work my way up to the newest shadow. So this update, I have a couple of rollouts, but not all of them have pan, unfortunately. So starting with the shadow that has been in the longest comes from my Beauty Bay Berries palette. This was for the prompt, a shadow from a monochromatic palette. Now this palette has all pink tones. So I chose a shadow out of here and I chose the shadow Doll. Now you can probably see a little bit of disturbance in the pan. This has been in for 3 months now. I have previously used it 11 times total and I've used it 3 more times. I've just not really been drawn to it anymore. I have tried to use it as a blush and I like that, but there's also a blush in my project pan that I'm trying to finish, so this just kind of fell to the wayside, which, I mean, after 3 months of using it and 14 uses, I'm fine with rolling it out. Of course I would have preferred it to have pan when rolling it out, but it's fine. I'm gonna roll it out because I know if I leave it in for another month I probably won't touch it and that would be a waste. So this one is rolling out, the prompt is staying into the wheel. Then the next shadow comes from my Juvia's Place Zulu palette, and this is in for the prompt Something You Want to Pan. This one hurts my heart. I have been working on the yellow shadow. You can see the disturbance, you can see a dip starting to form. I have previously used this 11 times and this month I've used it another 7 times. I'm gonna roll this out. I know it's in for the prompt Something You Want to Pan, but I'm kind of done with doing yellow in every look. I've tried to do so much yellow in every look that every time I now have to reach for this shadow, it feels like a chore, and I don't want that because I want it to stay a shadow that I love to use. So I'm gonna roll this out, which again, I would have loved for this to roll out with a pan, but I'm just not gonna use it next month if I leave it in. So we're rolling this one out. And then all the next shades were actually rolled in last time, so that's good. I'm gonna start with 2 from the same palette. I have here a green matte and a shadow that starts with P. So for the green matte, I rolled in the shade Apple from my Beauty Bay Earthy palette. And you can sort of start to see a dip. This had some previous use on it when I rolled it in. I think it was in a Pan Those Eyeshadows before, but I did not manage to hit pan. I have used this, let me see, 5 times this month. It isn't a whole lot. Like I said, I had been pairing everything and anything with that yellow, so I've done a lot of green and yellow looks, which was very Brazilian carnival, and I liked it, but I'm kind of over it. So I'm hoping next month to get some different uses out of this, like different looks, but we shall see. And then for the shadow that starts with P, I rolled in the shade Pixie from this palette, and hopefully you can see that I managed to hit pan in this, which I did not quite expect yet. I also used this 5 times. This wasn't my favorite green. It's a very cool toned, like blue green, and I prefer my warmer toned like yellow greens. I love yellow, so I like that more. So I did sometimes use this as a base color and then put something over top, but other than that, it was a fine shadow. It had good pigmentation. It's just not quite the tone of green that I love the most, but it's fine. That one is rolling out. The other one is staying in. Then for the Prompt Brown Matte, I pulled in a shade for my Laney Gilded Terra palette, and I'm working on the shade Branch Out, which is right here. And I hope you can see there is quite a dip starting to form. I have been using this as a liner mostly. I've also been using it as an outer corner shadow. I have really hoped to be able to hit pan on this today. I've used it today in my outer corner and also as a liner, but it looks like I'm not quite there yet, so this is gonna stay in for another month. This is a perfect shadow to be working on. It's not very difficult to incorporate in looks, but it's also not very special, so I'm not super excited to use it, but it's fine. And I've used that 5 times as well. And then the last shadow that I pulled in was for the Prompt and Indie shadow, and I took my Micro Beauty Shop Serpent palette out and I rolled in the shade Venom. And Venom is by far my favorite shadow out of this palette. It is right here. And hopefully you can see that I also managed to hit pan on this one. Now this also had a lot of previous use on it. It already had a dip, so this was kind of like an easy pick for myself, but also it is my favorite shadow out of this palette. I love it so much. So this only took me 4 uses to hit pan in this. It's a very soft formula. It's quite flaky, but I love it. It is so stunning, and this was beautiful with some yellow and then darker green and then that in the middle of the lid. It was beautiful. So that is also rolling out. Do we have anything staying in? Yes. So a green matte and a brown matte, and we're gonna roll some prompts. I already updated my wheel of prompts, so I took out the 2 prompts that I hit pan in, left all of the rest in. So we're gonna roll 4. Let's see what I'm gonna get. First one is, oh, Brown Shadow Matte, but we're working on that already. Okay. First one is Reminds You of Spring. That's perfect because it is spring. Something You Want to Pan. Okay, so that prompt is back. Reminds You of Spring. Okay, we just rolled that. Something else, please. Shadow that starts with R. I'm gonna have to start up my spreadsheets to check. And then the last one is An Everyday Shadow. Okay, I'm gonna check my collection. I'm gonna check my spreadsheet for a shadow that starts with R, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm joined by my cat. My cat just took over, oh, there she goes. My cat just took over my seat while I was looking through all of my eyeshadows. But I've made my decisions. Is this really a color story that I was going for? No, I did not swatch out anything yet, but we're gonna do that in a second. So we have staying in the matte green. Put it here, even though my hand is full of cat scratches. And we have staying in the dark brown. So we're building off of this. So right away, I'm gonna start with the most boring one. The most boring one that I'm rolling in is An Everyday Shadow. I'm again gonna go in with my Laney palette, the Gilded Terra palette. I'm gonna roll in this shade. The shade is called Unplugged. This is just a matte cream, or cream to white. It's gonna be an easy shade to use. I've swatched it, but you can barely see it. I can just set my eyeshadow base with that and call it a day. Then, reminds you of spring. I'm gonna be rolling in this Glamlight palette and I'm gonna roll in this green right here. Now this is the type of green that I love. This is the yellow warm toned green. You can see there's a little bit of use already. I have no idea how deep these pans are, so we are gonna find out together. I do know that I love the Glamlight formula. They're very soft shadows, but they are so nice and shimmery and sparkly. So I'm excited to work on this shadow. But then for something you want to pan, now this was kind of difficult because honestly there's not a lot that I'm like jumping for joy to pan, but this one kind of fit the description. This is my Flormar Summer Breeze quad and I have barely used this since I got it. So I'm just curious to see how deep these pans are and how these really do perform. So I'm picking the green because, I mean, I was debating the yellow, but I just rolled out a yellow. And this green is very similar in tone to that Glamlight one, but it's very much less shimmery. So I was thinking it could be a good base for this shimmer and for the days that I don't want an excessive amount of shimmer, which honestly isn't a lot of days. Like, give me all the shimmer I can get, but for the days that I feel like I don't want all the shimmer, I can just wear that. So I chose that for something you want to pan. And then the last one, this one honestly is the most exciting one. For shadow that starts with R, I'm rolling in a Mica Beauty Shop single and I'm rolling in this one. This is called Rain, like R-E-I-G-N, Rain. And this, I had a couple of singles from Mica Beauty Shop that started with R, but this fit the color story I think the most. It is a blue to green, so I'm gonna swatch this very carefully. These shadows are super flaky, so shimmery. I mean, look at that. I don't know if there's many days that I can just wear this. Oh, but it's so beautiful. It is so stunning. Look at that. So it does have slight blue tint to it, and it does have quite a good base, but I also feel like this would look beautiful over this or even that. So I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that one. And now I cannot stop staring at it. I mean, look at that. Is it gold? Is it blue? Is it green? It's everything. Love it. So that is rolling in for shadow that starts with R. And then that is the color story. Here we go. It is very green, but I'm okay with it. We have a nice neutral to help me darken up the look. We have a very simple white to hip pan in, and then some shadows that might be a little bit more difficult to hip pan in, but that are fun, hopefully. So I'm excited for this round. And then that concludes it. This is my update. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will hopefully see you in one of my next videos. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.